There's some shocking numbers out after Donald Trump's mugshot hit the world and Donald Trump skipped the debate. Let's talk about these poll numbers because they're shocking. But first, I want to apologize for a criticism that I think was misplaced on Trump. During the debate and the Tucker Carlson interview that I live streamed, which thank you to all of you, has well over 600,000 to 700,000 views probably now. It's actually really incredible. I mentioned that Trump appeared to lack energy and appeared to lack direction in his discussion with Tucker. And quite frankly, I got to thinking about it a little bit. I'd be sad too if I had 4 major legal battles going on that I thought were not legitimate. Trump is now diverting up to 10% of any of his campaign contributions towards his legal fees. It used to be 1%. Imagine the amount of money that not only they're having to spend on dealing with these legal battles, but the phone calls and the research and the document prep and the deposition prep. It's got to be stressful. In addition to, obviously, having to get your mugshot blasted around the world. However, there is a chance that is also unifying the right and galvanizing the right. See, Democrats on the left might actually end up hurting themselves with this persecution. Consider the fact that most Democrats probably aren't going to vote for Donald Trump anyway. And prosecuting Donald Trump just motivates those who usually don't vote potentially to come out and say, you know what, I need to vote in this because we can't stand for what potentially those on the right see as an illegal prosecution. After all, it took 2.5 years to come up with 4 different indictments against Donald Trump. Usually, if there's a crime, you'd think there would be some kind of blatant commitment to indict immediately. So this 2.5-year thing, conveniently, as everyone's running for president, it's definitely a problem. It really divides our country. And that's not to say somebody who isn't guilty doesn't deserve to do their time. But of course, there are legitimate concerns when all of a sudden, right before an election, there are 4 indictments, and all of a sudden, people are getting into office who are running on the premise of getting Trump. Those things are problematic, and they should be, even if you're on the left and you hate Donald Trump's guts. It's kind of like, if you're on the left and you hate Trump, the best thing you could do is let him, in the eyes of those who don't like him, self-destruct, so to speak. Let him say what he wants, and don't feed him ammunition to fight his campaign. Anyway, so we got to get to the shocking numbers, but I also want to talk about where Vivek is actually pulling a really brilliant strategy. And look, I want to be clear because sometimes I say, look, here's something good, here's something bad, and then people think I'm changing my mind. I just want to be clear. I can hold 2 beliefs at a time. I think Vivek did a great job in the debate. I don't like his history, though, and because of his history, I have a problem trusting him. And trust is really easily broken, especially in the public eye. See, the reason I don't trust him is because of the details I outlined in the video I made about how I think he defrauded his way into becoming a billionaire. Now, I know that's really strong, and it's my opinion, and I'm sorry if you like Vivek. Just search billion-dollar fraud Vivek, and his staff lashed out at me over it, and you should see what those responses are, and then you can make your own conclusions. Who knows? Maybe it's wrong. Although we're doing more research on it, the more research we do on it, the more we're like, yeah, no, it was a little bit of a shady background. But anyway, Vivek is pulling a pretty incredible strategy here. See, Chris Christie bashed Trump, as he usually does. I mean, this is why people think he's hired by the left. He just bashes Trump. And Vivek cheers Trump. Like any of Trump's actions, Vivek cheers. He says he's the best president that we've had, but then says it's time for a new generation. This is really smart because it accomplishes 4 things, and then I want to get into the polls that I talked about because they're shocking. Number 1, it's really hard for Donald Trump to attack Vivek if Vivek is cheering for Trump. Brilliant, because we know Trump will lash out if Trump is attacked. Number 2, it's hard for Trump supporters to attack Vivek because we know eventually it'll be time for a new generation, and it is possible for Trump supporters to go, yeah, I like that Vivek guy, still voting for Trump. And then that way, in the event that something happens with Trump or he doesn't win the nomination or whatever, then Vivek could slide in and people still have a good impression of Vivek, as opposed to somebody who bagged on Trump and then people just stay home and don't vote. The third thing is, Vivek says he'll pardon Trump, This is actually probably very smart for, if Vivek wins, focusing on moving the country forward, because it ends all that drama and moves the country forward. Of course, it's going to piss off a lot of Dems, but think about it. If Trump doesn't win and he's gone, then there's your win already, right? Let Trump kind of disappear if he doesn't win into his own whatever he's going to do after. I mean, even if he wins in 2028, will be post-Trump, right? I mean, there won't be a President Trump anymore who's active. I mean, he'll still always be a president. Anyway, the fourth thing that this does for Vivek is it also sets him up for a potential VP role in 2024. See, Trump hasn't announced a VP yet. And to merge this, hey, here's a Donald Trump who's, knocking on the door of 80, and, somebody in their 30s, a millennial, who, has the charisma and the marketing or whatever and the pizzazz. I don't think there are a lot of Trump supporters who would be opposed to that kind of connection. Unless, of course, you don't trust him because of what we talked about regarding his past. I wish he would address that a little bit more head on. I saw him in a Jordan Peterson interview, and he totally played Jordan Peterson. Subscribe, and you'll see a separate video that I have coming up on that, and I'll just break it down. Again, I'm trying to be neutral. I don't care. I think it'd be great if we had a younger person in office, right? But I'm not here on this channel to tell you how to vote. Ultimately, my goal is to give you perspective and then let you make your own decisions, because you're a free human being, and I believe you have the capacity to do that, especially if you're here watching my videos, and I really appreciate that. So, what's going on with the polls? Well, this is the shocking part. You ready for this? Here it is. And maybe it's not shocking. Maybe I'm just surprised by it. But I just would have thought there would have been some larger movement. According to Morningstar, which is something, look, all polls are just polls, okay? But at least they give us an indication of some inflection points, like changes. According to Morningstar, 58% of people are still going for Donald Trump, which was the same before and after. Ron DeSantis stayed at 14%. Vivek moved up 1%. Pence stayed the same. Christie actually went up 1% post-debate. Haley the same, and then you can see sort of the rest of the list here. Now, that is a morning consult poll. Now, what was also interesting is if we go over here to look at the Pennsylvania numbers, we still have Trump sitting at 39%, DeSantis 21%, Vivek 9%. I'm really surprised Vivek is tied with Tim Scott, especially after the New York Post suggested that Ramaswamy, via their surveys, actually won the first debate. That's theirs. I'm also pretty surprised that DeSantis pulled off 21% here. I would have thought that Vivek would have won with a larger margin and then gotten more polling numbers from DeSantis in some of these other polls. But we didn't end up seeing that. Here's an Insider Advantage poll that puts Trump at 45, Ron DeSantis at 18, Haley at 11, above Vivek. Thought that was pretty interesting. Now, and honestly, at some degree, shocking. Now, I want to look at Real Clear Politics in just a moment. We'll look at some of the betting odds. But one of the things that I wanted to show you is I want to show you a clip from when I ran for governor, which I think is I love politics to some extent, because when I ran for it, I'm like, this is so similar. And I actually found this amazing similarity between myself and Vivek, and I'm happy for him. Hey, if Millennial goes on to win, I think this is so great. But listen to this similarity. This is so weird. Listen to what Pence says, and then listen to what happened in mine. You ready for this? Here we go.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
Oh, that was pretty rough. And he got booed on that because people are ready for a younger generation. Now, this was in front of a live audience. Of course, my debate was in 2021 during the COVID era, so it was TV only. But listen to this, okay? So I'm talking about how we've got to streamline permits and basically build more homes to make homes affordable again, right? And then listen to the response we get from Kevin Faulconer.
Fast by streamlining the permitting process and enabling Californians to build.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, no.
You have 30 seconds to respond.
I'm happy to. It's not the time for on-the-job training for YouTube. Somebody that's
I'm like, oh, damn. It was exactly the same line. That's just what the old politicians say to the young politicians. And I'm like, Oh, what a small world it is. Doesn't change how I feel. Anyway, this is really incredible. So Donald Trump is clearly still killing it. And I have to say, there's something else that I thought was pretty impressive. And it's probably the first time I've actually seen this happen. If you go to the Donald Trump mugshot donate page, which I think is just donaldjtrump.com. Look what he wrote, donaldjtrump.com. Let's just go to there. Yep, there it is. Okay, so if you go to donaldjtrump.com and then you look for, this is what it looks like. These are sort of the terms and conditions. And this is where he says, today at the notoriously violent jail in Fulton County, Georgia, I was arrested despite having committed no crime. This is, of course, Donald Trump's note. Look at this one. If you are doing poorly due to the sinister people in control of our country right now, don't even think about donating. That's like brilliant. I mean, some are going to argue that it's just reverse psychology and it'll motivate people to donate more. And that's true. That probably is actually going to work in their favor. But it's also kind of cool because I don't think I've ever seen a politician put that in. I don't think I've ever seen a politician that's not like, well, if you're poor, just give me at least $1, right? No. So it's just like, just give me something. That was kind of cool. And I think that's what Donald Trump is trying to set up, is he's trying to set up this campaign of, look, you know me. You know what you had with me. Do you want what you had with Biden, or do you want what you had with me? And I think that's kind of what he's running on. He's like, dude, what do I need a debate for? I showed you 4 years. Now you decide. Maybe that's exactly fair. Anyway, if you like this kind of commentary, feel free to subscribe, let me know, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Goodbye.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Which I say yes, meet Kevin.
Where does this mean we are in the economic cycle? Should we be thinking about buying real estate? Should we be thinking about buying stocks? I have a background in real estate as a real estate agent, real estate broker, real estate investor, a stock market investor, and fund manager.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here?
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Always great to have you on. Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber, Meet Kevin.